In the Pokemon trading card game, checkmating is a concept that refers to creating a board state where no matter what happens on your opponent's next turn, you will win the game on your next turn. I found that Gardevoir has been an incredible deck for creating these checkmate situations, as you have such an absurd draw engine and are able to set up attackers really easily. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over some checkmating situations I've come across at my local League Cups and posing them as puzzles for you guys to see if you can solve them. So in each of the puzzles, there's going to be 4 of them today, increasing in difficulty, and in each one, the goal is to set yourself up as well as possible to win the game on the next turn. This is the deck list that I'll be using in the video, so if you're ever wondering what resources I have available, I'll put the list in the description down below as well, so you can just check that out as well. Now, in our first puzzle today, we're going to be going over a pretty standard Gardevoir Charizard endgame where we are looking to set up a 2-turn checkmate. Now, some additional information, you can see your prize cards there, and you can see the contents of your deck here, and we are looking to guarantee the game on the next turn, no matter what our opponent does. Now, when I say no matter what they do, I mean anything a reasonable Charizard deck would have. Our Charizard opponent isn't whipping out a Path Roxanne on us. They've just got like Iono, Countercatcher, normal Zard things. So don't worry, there's no like secret plot twist that you need to play around. Just how do you set up a checkmate against a standard Zard deck? I'll let you guys pause the video here. And in the context of this puzzle, you have used all of your abilities like Greninja, Arcana, Refinement. So all that's left to do pretty much is pick an attacker and play a couple cards. Now, there are actually a couple different ways to set up a checkmate here, but I'm just going to go over the most intuitive version. So if you think you've come up with one of the alternative solutions, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to review your solution and let you know if I agree or not. But as far as the most intuitive solution, it's going to be to attack with Zacian here. Now, this is good for a couple of reasons, mostly because it creates a big threat that they need to knock out. And if they don't knock it out, or if they do knock it out, you can use Reversal Arcana to kill something. So we're going to Countercatcher in this Pidgeot, retreat our Gardevoir, attach Reversal to this Gardevoir on the bench, bank all 9 of our Psychic Energies onto this Zacian. Then we're just going to think about the contents of our deck a little bit and optimize them. So we're going to Super Odd, putting back Lumineon and Kirlia into our deck because those are cards that will help us find boss's orders on the next turn. And then we will just knock out this Pidgeot. Now, what our opponents will likely do in this situation is knock out our Zacian with Charmeleon and Iono us. So once we're Ionoed, if you take a look at the contents of our deck, even if we start drawing them in the worst possible order, we will win the game. So let's say we draw like Artazon Nest Ball, keeping in mind that all the cards that were in our hand are on the bottom of our deck. Then for turn, we'll top deck Countercatcher. Actually, wait, that does not work. We'll top deck Collapsed Stadium. And then we have a Kirlia on the board, so we'll Refinement into double Super Odd, let's say. And then we will Arcana, and you can see at this point, every card in our deck is either boss's orders straight up, or a way to draw more cards. So let's say you draw into like Kirlia Arcana. Well, now we can just bench the Kirlia, draw 2 more cards, and we are guaranteed to find a way to boss's orders. And then we'll just power up this Arcana with our guaranteed boss's orders and take 2 prizes to win the game. Our next puzzle is going to be a Tina Gardy endgame where, again, we are looking to set up that 2-turn 100% guaranteed win. So in this matchup, you need to be wary of Roxanne PAF and Countercatcher while you're setting up your checkmate and thinking about what you'll need to win. During this turn, you've already used all of your abilities and played Worker in order to deck yourself out, and now all you have to do is optimize the contents of your deck and find a knockout. So you can pause the video here and come up with your solution. Now, there are a couple of different ways to get to the optimal deck, but I'll just run through one of them here. So what you're going to want to do is chuck away all these cards that don't really do anything. Level Ball, Fog Crystals are great examples. Then we're going to want to play this Ultra Ball to get rid of some cards that don't really help us. So we're going to get rid of Cresselia and Psychic Energy, and we'll just get nothing. Then we're going to attach the Psychic Energy. It's not particularly important where, but let's just say you put it on this Kirlia. Then you can evolve into Shining Arcana just to get another card out of your deck. And at this point, I'm going to start thinking about how many cards I'm going to have access to on my next turn. So I'm going to get Roxanne, and most likely one of my draw support Pokemon is going to get knocked out. So I'm going to have 2 cards off Roxanne. I'm going to top deck 1, and then I'm going to use Refinement to draw 2, and Arcana to draw 2 more for 7 cards. So we want to get to a total of 7 cards in deck, and on our next turn, we're going to need Zacian, Boss's Orders, and a Stadium Bump for the presumable Path to the Peak. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to waste one of my Stadiums here because, as you notice, we have 6 cards in our hand, and we are going to draw 2 prizes, which would leave us with 8 cards. So if you don't waste one of these Stadiums here, you could actually end up with like your Boss's Orders or your Zacian as the bottom card in your deck. So I'm just going to go ahead and chuck down Artazon and then put some energies onto this Arcana and take the knockout. Alright guys, I just noticed while editing the video that I just decked myself out and didn't put any cards back into my deck. So what you need to do is you need to Pal Pad and put back Professor Turo. That way you can draw for turn if your opponent just decides to pass. And then the number of cards in your deck will remain the same for the Roxanne implications that I'm about to talk about. So then from here, we're likely going to get Path Roxanne, and one of our Pokemon is going to get knocked out. Let's just say it's our active. It doesn't really matter. Our opponent also could knock out our Gardevoir EX, but that would actually be even better for us as we have super odds left to get EX back, and then we can just draw more cards because they didn't remove any of our draw support. So then from here, we're going to get Roxanne, and I'll run through the worst possible order we can draw our cards. So we could draw like both of our super odds, and then we can top deck Level Ball, and then we can Refinement into like Pal Pad Collapsed, and then we just Arcana, deck ourselves out, bench the Zacian, Boss's Orders in the Tina, Collapsed, get rid of anything, and then go for a massive knockout on the second Tina. And our third puzzle today comes from a very common Gardevoir endgame. I can't tell you guys how many times I've played a game that looked exactly like this. So it's our second last turn of the game, and we're looking to put together a checkmate in this position. Our opponent's resources aren't particularly important to the puzzle. You can assume that our opponent has access to any Gardevoir card under the sun, and we should still be able to put together a checkmate. So with that in mind, I'll let you guys pause the video here and see if you can see the vision of the checkmate. Now, in order to set up a true checkmate, there are a couple things we need to do. Number one, of course, is we're going to have to Turo our Gardevoir EX off the board, but there's a couple other things we need to do to prepare in order to make sure that we'll have a guaranteed game on the next turn. So the other thing we're going to need is a guaranteed Boss's Orders. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to Ultra Ball away this Boss's Orders with the plan of Pal Padding it, so if I get Iono'd, I'm guaranteed to have Boss. So in addition to discarding the Boss, we'll just discard Iono and get nothing. Then from here, you can Pal Pad, put Boss into your deck, and now Boss's Orders is the only card in our deck. Then you're going to want to attach Psychic Energies to your Pokemon before using this Turo. I would set it up something like this. Then we can Turo our Gardevoir EX off the board. We can just discard those. And the other piece that is very important is to put an energy on our Manaphy. Now, our opponent could get clever and do something like Counter Catcher in the Manaphy, Iono, and then Cresselia knock out the bench, which would be pretty annoying as we could be left without an energy to retreat. Then from here, you can just evolve this Kirlia on the bench into Arcana and take a knockout on the active. Now we've ensured that whether our opponent Ionos us or not, we'll have Boss's Orders, and all of our Pokemon can retreat. Alright, this last game is inspired by a game I played against Raymond Long at a local League Cup where you find yourself as being turn 1 of time with top cut time implications, meaning that if you are ahead on prizes on turn 3, you win the game. So your turn 1 of time, this is your hand, and these are the contents of your deck. And one additional piece of information which may help your decision is that you know Raymond has no way to remove any of his Pokemon from play. He does not play Professor Turo, and his only Collapsed Stadium is in the discard pile. Additionally, he has like 9 Psychic Energies in the discard and is potentially threatening a knockout on your Gardevoir EX next turn. So given this information, find the solution. You can pause the video here. And before you pause the video, you also have used all of your abilities like Shining Arcana and Refinement. So hopefully you discovered that you need to Turo your EX this turn in order to take away your opponent's win condition. Now, the second part of the puzzle is determining whether or not to actually attack this turn. So let's explore the option of attacking first. So I believe the best way to attack is to do something like put 3 energies on the active, put 3 energies on the bench, Super Rod, put back the Shining Arcana that's in your discard pile, then Turo your EX, and take a knockout on the active. Now, the thing that's kind of risky about this is that you can actually be Iono'd out of the game. So say you get Iono'd to 1, you draw Fog Crystal, then you top deck another Fog Crystal, and then you use Refinement and draw Zacian and Psychic Energy, and your opponent knocked out your active with Gardevoir EX. You actually find yourself in a position where you can't knock out their Gardevoir EX because you don't have access to boss or an attacker, and you actually lose the game if you don't find your Arcana or your Lumineon off those 4 cards. So if attacking doesn't guarantee us the game, maybe there's a way to guarantee the game while passing. So my alternative solution is to put a couple energies onto your active, Turo your EX off the board, bench Manaphy, and just pass. Now, this puts your opponent in a really awkward spot as they are turn 2 of time and need to knock something out. So if they don't knock out your active, then you're going to be in a really good spot as you have an attacker already loaded to take out the Gardevoir EX. So presumably what they're going to do is like Iono you and knock out your active with some kind of 1 prize Pokemon. So once you get Iono to 2, you're going to draw 2 of these cards and then you're going to draw for turn. So say you draw Fog Crystal, Psychic, Fog Crystal. Then you can use your 1 Refinement to draw into Zacian and Lumineon, and at that point, you can Lumineon for research, bench the Zacian, deck yourself out completely, Rare Candy into Gardevoir EX, retreat into the Zacian, Countercatcher, bring in the EX, and one-shot it with 10 energies. Now, this spot was pretty crazy, so let me know in the comments down below if you saw an alternative solution. I've thought about this position a decent amount, and I think this is the best option, but I could be wrong. So feel free to let me know in the comments down below what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.